So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, rage across New York, where there is a 10 point. She's in the Bronx apartment. She's in the Bronx apartment because Aiden has told her that, god damn it, they're going places and she needs to look decent. And that means that once her duties are done for the day, and the Rock got a brush by because she wouldn't have spare time for him today, but that's all right. She's shown him to Helena, and Helena will keep him company. She has rushed back to the apartment and spent far more time than she will ever confess to in her life, going almost probably even with a list in hand through a number of ludicrous conditioners and hair products and God knows what else that Aiden has provided and instructed her carefully on how to use so that she can take her outrageous mane of hair and get it under some semblance of control. She does have, bless her heart, some nice clothing, and at least one dress that Aiden has provided for her, which is probably what she'll go with in the long run. Sadly, none of the pictures I have reflect that kind of dress or anything that's not like outrageous high fashion runway. So this is what you get. Just imagine. There's a cute black dress. It's a thing. She's wearing it. So yeah, 10 point is probably at the apartment. Finally, having gotten her hair dry, it is quite long when it is not kinked up into curls. I mean, it's quite long even kinked up into curls. Longer still outside of that, and is still fighting with a hairbrush and a hair dryer, and finally getting her hair dry. So much hair.
Aiden, he eventually uh, does his wormfo duties and, basically takes an early day off because, well, he has a phone. If they need him, they'll contact him. And it's all by design because, well, as he kicks open the door of the apartment in a swanky ass suit, his hair combed out of his face, cleaned up his beard, aka shaved the whole bloody thing off. um, he'll swagger in, looking pretty swanky, and he will even say, "You ready?" It's like his voice echoes throughout the apartment.
And yeah, the hair dryer is only just being flicked aside. The brush run a few more times before she gives up on the idea of trying to put her hair up. It's too much, it's too complicated. Doing it for other people is nice and all, but clearly, with the door open and Aiden calling, she doesn't have but so much time. Besides, this is easier. And so called back will be yeah, I'm ready. And she'll scamper over to slip her feet into the shoes that have been given her alongside the dress. And we'll finally pop out of the bedroom.
And yeah, he'll just literally pee, like, she'll see him in very nice all black, with the white button shirt. Then he just looks very swanky.
Oh, she immediately smiles just because. Look at him all dressed up.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you want to know where we're going? Do you want to know where we're going?
Yes.
It is a place called Birdland. It is a block away from Sept.
Bron kind of knits because that's just a strange name.
It's large barn. It's got Cajun food. Have you ever tried that before?
My head gives a light shake.
You're gonna like it.
There's just an idle shrug of acceptance. If you think so.
Especially the chicken. God, he almost looks like, yes, give me chicken.
The enthusiasm is decidedly catching. She's still grinning.
And I decided I would have my worm 4 hours off early, so you have me all to yourself unless there's an emergency. You smile.
And she'll meander over and probably tuck like a curl of hair behind his ear, grinning. And you can afford to do that, right?
Of course I can. No wormfo. I'm the wormfo.
So you are?
Besides, I'll probably be heading back later out tonight anyway and fill out some more reports that I want done. So I can afford to take. Of course you can. Need a secretary, sure. That sock puppet only gets me so far.
She tries so hard not to laugh. It kind of comes out in a snort. She turns her face down, just like, nope, it's totally not funny. It's not. Grinning.
So, shall we get going then? Hold out his hand. Very, 1920 style. He has shown her several of those 1920 movies that he adores. So he'll do that kind of spinning, like, madam. You know what I mean? Type of hand.
And the smile returns in full force. She'll take the hand because why not? Why not?
Yeah. They hop in his car and drive down. He pays for both of them in, which is, he can easily afford it. And yeah, I would say it is just kicking off. There's food being served. People are dancing. It's pretty hip and swanky.
And as is usually the case, especially as they get in. 10 Point doesn't mind having an arm through his. She will be very, very close. Not even necessarily because she's being clingy so much as because there are so many people and it's such a big place and it's lively and loud and there's so much movement and excitement. It's, at least initially, she's not a wallflower per se. She's just very aware of how many people are how close to her. And Aiden's the only one she's especially okay with touching, so...
I imagine few people will probably move out of Aiden's way, considering the amount of rage he has.
Mm-hmm.
So people will kind of part, but it's very bright. There's a lot of red plumes around the place. It's very kind of a high octane colors. And he'll sit down, and the waiter will probably nervously take food as Aiden orders so much Cajun chicken. So much chicken. Various things. You just get things basically in those big kind of, meals for two that you can just dip your fingers in. And he'll kind of turn and look at 10 Point as he orders drinks and will turn and look at her. What do you think?
And she has been all the while. She lets him do the ordering. He knows what he's looking at. She doesn't. And she has been sat up in her chair and just looking at everything, taking in the surroundings, as it were, trying to familiarize herself, become a little more comfortable. Just a little more comfortable. And when he finally asks, she cracks a faint grin. It's colorful. It reminds me of the movies that you show me.
Aye, that's why when I saw the place, we were definitely going to go for it. The grin. I was like, those big, huge plates of crawfish just land right in front of her, I'm assuming.
And yeah, she's still just kind of taken with it, especially like the way some of the women have dressed. There's ostrich feathers. There's all sorts of madness going on. There's sequins. There's tassels. And she's just, wow. So she'll initially be distracted. Besides, he's the higher rank anyways.
Yeah, he'll pour beer for himself and he'll look at her. Do you want an actual drink? Or...
And she kind of carelessly shrugs.
You know what, 10 Point? We're out in the town. We might as well enjoy ourselves. And he'll order one of those huge pitchers, basically, for the two of them.
And that is just fine with her, because even with her shit activated, she'll eventually be feeling the effects.
He'll settle into the crawfish, like rips it apart and devours it, like he's hungry. You'll look up at her. So, how you been doing then? We didn't get much time to talk. Not with the new promotion and all that.
Not with the everything. And she's still kind of distracted, though she'll start picking into the food because she has learned that while these are essentially bugs of the sea, they are very delicious bugs of the sea.
Yeah, Cajun crawfish. Oh my god, probably 10 point is experiencing all kinds of spice in her mouth.
Oh god, and I have to roll things because flaws,
Mm-hmm.
battle scars. So, oh, not in that dice roller. I won't.
Probably do it in one. That
Mm-hmm.
looks fine.
Yup. Oh boy. Let me
Might be
pull up my
fine.
sheet. See these things. Oh, she is?
Told you.
And she will probably begin nibbling at the food and not paying it much attention just because there's so much going on around them. And then she gets hit with the Cajun spice and whatnot and suddenly is paying keen attention to the food. In fact, looks a little shocked. Not offended, not disgusted. Thankfully, not horribly burned, but shocked.
What you think?
Hot.
It is. It is a bit. Might make it first later at home. I know how to make cook for a few bits, so if you'd like, my cook is for it again. I got the proper ingredients and all that. You say to her very, nodding.
Well, she nods back, smiling. Been well enough. It was just very lonely.
You smile. So, how have you been? Since, I went back home for a bit.
It was a helpless kind of shrug. It was lonely. I tried. I kept busy. Work. But I'm not used to being alone anymore.
You smile at her as he takes a sip. Do you miss me that much then?
And she colors faintly as she smiles. Of course I did.
I'm glad you're alright and all that. I was worried.
I would never.
I know. You smile at her softly.
She, for what it's worth, says right very quietly, and considering how loud the place is.
Oh yeah. I was just a bit worried, and I had to be a bit harsh with these when you came back because I was, had to get rid of the anger and all that.
Of course. No.
You reach over and put his hand on hers. I do want you to know though that it's only for 2 weeks.
And there's a faint nod. She actually pauses her eating once the hand sets on hers. She'll even go so far as to flip it over so that she can grasp his back. I would never do that. Not now.
I'm just saying, just making sure you know, okay? I don't want to think my smile. I don't want to think my favorite packmate is being left out in the lonely.
And again, she kind of bashfully smiles, a bit, kind of down at the table, and shakes her head a bit. You're here. Even if I'm in trouble, it's still better that you're here.
I've been looking forward to this since I left. Planned the whole thing out.
Her head tilts faintly.
Well, I figured you needed a break from everything, and you needed to come outside, and I thought, you know what? Oh, Aiden's got a plan.
Of course he does. You've been thinking about it that long.
Of course.
And this, of course, pleases her immensely. It's good having you back. This
Why is
place
that?
is
Lean back, smiling.
this place is almost unbearable without you here.
Was it quiet, was it?
Not even quiet, just unbearable.
Home was interesting. Although I missed everybody.
She finally leans back a bit. She won't shift the hand and won't lean far enough back to break the grass, but she does pick up her drink, idly sipping at it. You know, before we stayed for Balian, why do we stay now?
Well, we have a job to do, don't we? We have responsibilities. To be honest, Tim, he'll say 10 point under his breath.
You can just use my real name.
All right then, Moira. Who grin?
And oh, yeah. She again goes faintly pink in the cheeks. Just a touch.
Because there are a few things we have to settle here. I have an idea, and I have some ambition. About this, we could make this a place that the Fianna could thrive in, that our people could thrive in. You say again, you say Fianna under his breath because it's loud music, so he thinks he can get away with it. But he'll say again, we can make this a place for our people to come.
And you think they'd adjust well to a place like this?
If they believe enough, they can. There'll be some changes. There'll be some adaptability. With the right person guiding them. He poke his finger on the table. Think of what we could achieve.
It's more away from home.
It is. But home is going to need more people. If we can build a stronghold here, we can help home.
Good.
And plus, there are still people here that we have to take care of that have left a mark on us. People who use violence and intimidation as part of their business, and that's not what we are, is it?
And her lips firm to a bit of a line, pressing together. Not the way it has been, no.
It's time, maybe, if we can dismantle that. Look at the change we can do here. Maybe even the other Fianna will see it.
And your new boss. I suppose it has become more hospitable to us.
It has. And there's going to be some things that we're going to be needed for. That I'm going to be needed for. And you and Saoirse. It's time for us to rise. Moira.
I never thought we'd try to rise so far from home.
True. But fate has a funny way of looking at things.
Maybe. Was it still empty, like your home?
Bits and pieces. There's a lot of new blood coming. It's not a war. It's a place of crafting. So there are a lot of people there.
He can see her kind of not even give real proper voice to it, but almost kind of lip the words that Gaia provides before taking her next sip. Like, just kind of into her cup idly. Good. I wonder how many that I knew still remain. I wonder how many will remember me when we go back. And how they'll remember.
We'll see. But I don't want you to concentrate on that. I want you to concentrate on the generation that's going to see you now. For example, Carissa. She believes in me, Moira. She believes in us. Believes in what we fight for.
And what do we fight for, Raya?
Family.
And she kind of ducks her head a bit, again, realizing as she's saying it, keeping her voice down as she says Raya. Obviously a hard habit to break. At the very least, that extended family, they do need us. You would think they wouldn't anymore. Not with the way things are now. But still, they need us.
Sometimes people just need them to be reminded of the right things they need. So let's give them that.
Perhaps we should talk more about our plan when we get home.
Of course. You'll be seeing more of it as time goes on anyway. I just want to make sure that you know what's going to happen.
I don't doubt you. I never doubt you. You told me that we had to go home. I wouldn't look twice. I wouldn't look over my shoulder. I wouldn't pack. I would just go. And if you tell me we need to stay, then we stay.
It's time that he'll reach over and interlock his hands perfectly with hers. We're going to stay here for a while. I'm going to write it out.
And we're bringing the family.
We're going to bring a family and we're going to build here. And then we're going to take the fight back and go help Eric and the others together.
Her eyebrows lift a bit. You want to go there?
It's our duty. This is our chance. We can be the heroes that they all sing about again. Here, home, there.
And you'll find that her eyes have kind of dropped to their hands, clasping and whatnot, but just kind of nervously dropped.
Fuck it. Or look at me.
And she flicks them back up again.
Charisma leadership. I fails. We can do it.
I just worry. It was almost in my head, even just here. Back home. It's worse. I don't like the idea of you going somewhere I can't follow.
Well, I'm not going to leave you on your own, am I?
if we find I can't go near it?
We'll work out that problem together.
Well, she gives a faint nod. Acceptance, not necessarily encouraged, but at the very least resolved.
Try it again, and he'll take her hand. One success is he takes her hand and squeezes it. Not hard or not aggressive, but she doesn't feel that kind of strength behind it. Together.
And just that bit of strength, that bit of confidence, the squeeze. She glances down to the hands again, and finally up at him, nodding more firmly, more resolved.
Plus, we have to get the cubs. We have to get the young ones ready.
I do.
You know, look at her very seriously. She'll see something. If she wants to pee and eat, she can.
I totes will. Why not? Pretty reasonable success there. That's 3.
3. She can tell when he says we have to get them ready, and he looks out at the people dancing. Aiden knows a lot more. There seems to be something he is in very deep contemplation about. You can even see, I wouldn't say worry, but I would more say he's trying to plan, but the task seems quite mighty, and he's almost trying to think of every different move, really. Because 10 Point knows him deeply at the minute. So I would say she gets, with 3, she would have a good inkling on him.
And this time it's her turn to give his hand a faint squeeze. You've been distracted.
We have to prepare. We have to make sure that they are ready. They're ready in the right way. That's all I can tell you.
I don't know that will happen with the ones who are teaching them now.
The warder has told me, and this I can tell you, we're to take a more aggressive approach to their training. Not aggressive as in, aggressive, but more, we are to be present on the set for them to be trained. Examples. What you're doing with Helena, that is what he is impressed by. What you're doing with Fatima.
I'm trying.
I know you are. So we need more of that.
I will try harder.
Not. So will I, but we need to prepare them. It's not going to be easy, but they need it. Trust me. And again, trace his fingers along hers. I normally tell you everything, but I have orders.
She considers this, and again, they've been talking in hushed tones. All things considered, as appropriate as it may be for people to generally, even couples, sit across the table from each other, as if 10 Point would ever do that. They're probably side by side unless they can keep the more hushed tones.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes a moment after all that. She sits back a bit. She looks at his face, studies it, looks at his eyes. Finally cracks an almost teasing smile. Was this all part of your plan, then?
What?
And she gives the back of his hand a pat. Talking a lot of business. For time you're meant to be spent enjoying.
Well, I wanted to make sure that you knew the situation and I like talking to you. Besides, I was just about to ask you to dance.
And she brightens. She loves dancing. So yes, she brightens right up. And even begins to shuffle her chair. She's all about this.
So yeah, he leaps up. 10 Point, madam, does that type of bow.
It's not 10 Point.
No, It's basically no. He's basically saying it with his body. With Madam, as he just bows, basically helping her out of the chair and then bowing for her as they're going on. He completely floppy and over exaggerated because he has no dots of etiquette, so it's completely hammy.
Yeah, but Hammy's fabulous. She hasn't, I don't think, has any either, so she will much the same be taken by the hand and roused from her chair in a kind of over the top motion and led along, grinning ear to ear.
So do you want to make that dancing roll, Katie?
I'm scared. I'm always scared.
Wow. 5.
How am I supposed to match that shit? That higher diff? That's still 3. That's still good. So he's definitely the center of attention as they take to the floor. Though she's not, she is hardly doing badly.
But yeah, Aiden spins her, turns her. His own body seems to hand jive, He flies around that dance floor. He is dervish going around the place.
And 10 points, let's say, is perhaps missing some of the flourish, but it's only because she has to work so very hard to keep up.
Okay, there you go. That for some thematic purposes is perfect. Is what playing in the background.
Oh yes, gimme.
That's probably why he's dancing so well, because he's like, I know this.
Oh god, yeah, if this is playing. Yep. Whatever tension may have been present has by now melted completely away. And yeah, even she knows these songs. So yeah, she leaves to it, and all of her energy is spent just trying to keep up with his furious energy, but God help her, at least she looks good doing it. Anyone would struggle to keep up with that.
Hang on. I have the perfect gift for this. But yeah, he'll dance up behind her and he'll beside her and go, I see you've been watching this without me.
I missed you. Of course I did. It reminded me.
And he'll grin and spin her around so she hits into his chest, not hard or anything, and then he'll whisper in her, I missed you as well.
But she's still just broadly smiling. I know.
So you ready for the big finish then?
I hope so.
I'm gonna roll that Dex Athletics.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what? Because it's Aiden fucking Lynch. Are you ready, Katie?
I'm not ready, but let's do it.
So here's the additional risk. 1, stiff 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Jesus. Diff 8, and that's still so many successes. Fuck. Just barely. Just barely.
All right. So I would describe this this is something else. With 6 or 7 successes on a diff 8, Aiden does the splits around 10 point, as she's dancing around. He'll shoot back up, flip her over him, and then literally flip himself. So literally they do a double flip. And he lands perfect. Just vroom.
Ah, 10 point does succeed, though not as grandly as him. So while for the portion where she is dancing, she's just fine. The flip, she just barely manages to stick the landing, even in very, very, very minor heals. It's not even, it barely counts as heals, but there's obviously some added difficulty to it. She manages to stick it, and thankfully him flipping over her doesn't involve putting a lot of weight on her. He has the fucking ability to flip himself midair anyways. But she does manage to stay upright. and just smiling in the most contagious fashion.
I imagine people are staring as well, you know. I would imagine that has probably garnered a lot of attention, even though nobody wants to dance near them because, you know, combined the two have rage 6, you know.
Look on the
But
bright
God, did
side,
he
it gives them some spare space for these ridiculous athletics.
um, but I can imagine they're like, God, these people are really terrifying, but God, did they dance well? You know what I mean? So
Quite
it's
possibly. For what it's worth, 10 Point doesn't seem to mind the attention at all. She could care less. She's having fun.
well, you know what Aiden is like. You know what I mean? He's lapping it up, takes off his coat and everything. You know, as he's jiving along, hip thrusting and everything, like losing himself in the rhythm of it.
Oh, God. Yeah, 10 Point is just all smiles. She can't help herself. Aiden is kind of a contagious person.
He'll spin her in again, and again he'll spin her in so she dips and then shoots back up so she lands right in his chest. And then we'll say to her, smiling, "How was that?"
And she just, that blistering smile. Oh, it was fun. Why haven't we done this in so long?
It's because we've been busy, you know. He'll grin. We should make it a regular thing.
We should. Let's not wait so long again.
And that is when the slow dance kicks in, I'm assuming, as well. Because fuck, it's thematics.
Is it, good sir?
Yeah, Katie. That when the slow jazz music kicks in, he'll turn and look at 10 Point, smiling, and will open his arms stretched out like madam. You know what I mean? And we'll spin her in so she comes in perfect, you know, perfectly tucked in for the solo dance.
And yeah, she is spun about, just gives into it entirely. There's no resistance. So she lands just so, tucked up against him. Still brightly flushed, probably just from the amount of fun and the amount of energy.
There you are, Katie.
What have you done to me? Aww.
As he slowly guides her around, you know, very slowly, and he'll lean in. Oh, look at that. I do seem to remember you liking this.
And yep, she that pink tinge definitely doesn't fade at all. Of course I do. She is not going to meet his eyes, however. Become decidedly bashful.
Grin. It was nice to see you not looking so nervous.
Am I usually nervous around you?
When we're dancing, yes. So you hear the smile in your voice if you're not looking at his face.
She takes up a teasingly thoughtful expression, still not looking at him.
You usually have the flustered hair look where you don't know what's left and what's right.
I like to think I'm better than that.
A little bit. You've gotten better. Not as bad as you were in the car, though.
What was I like in the car? I have rethought asking you to teach me to drive. It's obviously meant to tease him.
I mean, we can go out again if you'd like.
Are you going to do your level best to flip the car again?
That's called drifting.
I still feel like it's a very, very keen attempt to not quite roll the car.
It is a precise skill, I'll have you know.
I'd do it again with you.
All right, then. Maybe we'll bring Helen along.
Oh, Aiden.
What?
She'll come out with all her hair sticking on end.
So did yours.
Well, I have never seen someone drive quite so enthusiastically before.
I'll tell you what. I'll take the two of us. Be an adventure.
I do like going on adventures with you.
We'll go on more. We've still got a bit of, things to do for the old mother of knowledge herself. Bumper cheek.
We do indeed.
Well, there you go then. Plenty of adventures for the gang. Just promise me one thing.
What's that?
No matter how tough the adventures get and how dangerous they get, we have to have at least one swing dance a month. Maybe every 2 weeks. Depends on how fervorous I am. But at least one.
How fervorous.
Mm.
You could demand it every other day, and I would say yes.
If you want, I could do that.
I should think going out every other day should become fairly expensive and tiresome. We should at least
Tiresome.
dance.
Oh, I see how it is. You smile. Do I wear you out?
She actually perks up a bit. Never. As if, like, challenge accepted.
He'll grin at her. Nudge his cheek against hers. Good. So did you
Simply
prom?
meant that whether or not we go out, I should like to dance with you as often as you let me.
So did you promise then, milady?
Absolutely, I promise.
I'll hold you to that.
Do you think
Great.
you'll have to? Oh, she's still grinning.
Maybe I might just burst in and go, Moira, I demand a dance.
And you think I would turn you down?
I don't know. You might jump out of the seat like you did last time.
Whether or not I jump out of the seat, I'll still give you a dance.
Hope to God you're not holding one of the cubs because they might go flying.
She, like, teasingly shushes him because shame on you. Out on the floor. There's about 1 billion other people. Sir.
He'll turn and look at her, madam. You know what I mean? With that expression in his face.
I should think there are worse things that I could be surprised with than a dance.
You'd be surprised what you can learn from dancing with somebody.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
He'll smile and interlock her fingers. Do you want to sit down, or do you want to head back, or do you want to eat more food till we get fat?
I don't think you can get fat.
We can try. He'll say it, whispering in her ear.
Still got the most delighted little playful smile. Because for once she's actually trying to keep up tit for tat. Well, far be it from me to stand between you and a challenge.
And he'll, Madam Lynch, do you know who you're talking to?
Oh.
He'll give a grin.
No, not at all. Do tell.
The chest like puffs out. I'll have you know. And he'll take her by the hand, and turn her dramatically towards him. I'm Aiden Lynch Krause. The greatest person you're ever going to meet.
I have no doubt.
He'll smile. Right. Do one more dance. We'll see if we can take the food home with us. You know, Charlie just grin like,
Lord.
and then we'll go have a nice big picnic on set. What do you think?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
And yeah, the dancing begins. You know, she's probably thrown around like a rag doll.
Like a ragdoll, sir. Good sir. She revels in it every moment of it and does her best to match his energy level. And there is, of course, no matching Aiden Lynch Krause. But damned if she doesn't at least make a good accomplice.
I think that's the perfect place to end that.
I think you're right. So we will say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching our silly shit. As this pair has themselves one more dance. Just joyously flinging around the floor. And once they've made a proper night of it, we'll return to their table, we'll collect their proverbial doggy bag, and we'll take themselves back to Sept, perhaps. Though perhaps a change first? Who knows? At this point, they might sit there in fucking formal wear in the middle of the park. Whatever the case, we will see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.